Well, we start with Spike as the owner of the club, the Enlightenment Club, which it's not really a spoiler to say is the place that is being robbed by the main five, the group. He is essentially an asshole in more ways than one. The idea of playing Spike really appealed to me when we were coming up with the story with me and my team, my co-producers, and Matt, my associate producer. When we were trying to work out everybody's true intentions, Spike as a character really appealed to me because I like playing an arsehole. I think the idea of playing someone who is just so nasty was appealing because in the Bond films I played Pierce Brosnan and he was the good guy, he was the protagonist. So getting into a role like Spike allowed me to get my sort of nastier side out because he's a character who's so far removed from what I would want to be or who I'd want to hang out with. He's your typical sort of East End London, almost Phil Mitchell like kind of guy, very rough around the edges, very unpleasant. The only person he really likes and trusts is his DJ, Adele, played by my uncle. And yeah, when we find out through the story his true intentions, I'd say Spike becomes even more despicable. Because at first, on surface level, we just think he's an asshole with the way he treats Hector and the way he runs his club. And once we find out what his true motives are, you're like, wow, this guy is a rat. He is horrible. But I can't say any more for the spoilers. But as soon as we were coming up with the story beats, I said to my team, I was like, I really have to play this guy. I would love to play this guy because I think it would be such a different kind of role to play in more ways than one. It's very hard to say without giving spoilers away, but there's one particular scene which was more challenging than the other ones, for various reasons. But I think once we sort of cracked through the story, well, I mean, I knew from the script anyway. I wrote the script and we came up with this character through the script, me and my team. So I knew where the journey was going, and I knew what his outcome would be. But trying to find the differentiations in the story beats, that was kind of tough. When we find out his true intentions, that was the part I really needed to get right, because if that failed, the whole story kind of fell apart. And you'll understand when you watch the film. But to begin with, he's kind of briefly scattered in the film. He's not in it that much, but then when they sort of go to rob the club, we'll see more of him. So I can't say any more without giving away, but I wouldn't say it was especially difficult as much as Brosnan was, because that was more of an emotional journey. This is more, I guess you could say, of a physical journey. Yes, so directing scenes that I'm in, I've done before. With Bond, when we filmed Jinx's scenes for 50 Slices, I was Brosnan. So all of that weekend that we filmed for that, I was also in it. So I couldn't do camera, so I had to get people to do crew, and then had to focus on what I wanted for the shots and everything else. So you're thinking about everything plus more. And I think that was what was difficult, was that with that club filming, there was so much going on that I'd organised. And it did work. Surprisingly, it worked. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't stressed, because then I had to remember my lines as Spike. It's where most of my scenes as Spike come in. And there was one particular scene that I had real trouble with my uncle, where the lines that I had written for myself were so important. If I got them wrong, it would affect the story. So that was the big stress. Other times you can wing it. There are certain techniques we do called speed running, where if sometimes we're running out of time, someone off camera repeats the line, says the lines, and then the actor repeats them in the shot. It depends on which angle you use, but we've done that to save time, and we did do that for that weekend. But for me, that was a struggle. I'm not going to lie, but the actual experience of filming that weekend was amazing. I felt like we really got a lot of stuff, and we pretty much covered everything we needed in that club. Plus, the extras were amazing. They were so patient and they were so giving. They knew it was going to be a long day of waiting around and just dancing in the club, but they were brilliant. I really can't wait for them to see the film, to see if they can spot themselves in the film. Oh yeah, the last day of filming Spike was fun. It was the one scene that me and Matt were dreading, but also looking forward to. There were a lot of laughs, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't corpse, because I did. But it was so much fun. It really was. And to finally have put that to bed now is crazy that that was done. And, you know, again, I had a great crew that day as well. Without them, I couldn't have done it. And, you know, Matt was very, very good to indulge me in that scene. So, yeah, it's a great scene. It's one of the scenes that when we were writing the film and when we were discussing the plot, it's one of the scenes that we had the most fun with. And it's one of the few scenes that hasn't changed very much, because the script has evolved quite a lot. That scene has pretty much stayed the same, bar one or two lines or things that have been removed or whatever. So, yeah, it was fun. I wonder what the audience will think of that when they see it. Yeah, my first scene that I actually filmed for this film was something very small. I think it might have just been a passing conversation with myself and Adele, or something to do with the extras. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I didn't do a huge amount in my first scene, but most of my scenes were covered in one day. So I technically shot Spike for 2 or 3 days, and that was it. So it didn't feel like a long process, whereas Brosnan, it was a 7-year process for the trilogy. But with this it was much different. So I haven't felt as attached to it on that basis. But yeah, I knew where I wanted to go with it, so I kind of just approached it with this confidence. There was never any doubt of the character. It's just whether the audience will like him. Well, they probably won't like him, but it's whether the audience will understand the character.
Whether they'll like to not like him.
Yeah, he's a yeah. I mean, he's a villain that you love to hate. So
Yeah.
let's hope they love to hate him. Yes, I would, because I have done one or two roles like that on stage. Like I was in The Sound of Music and I played a Nazi. I played Herr Zeller, to be specific, and he was a nasty character. Sometimes you don't like those characters if you're the only one in the show or the film doing them. Sometimes those characters can be quite psychologically difficult to remove from your head. But with Spike, because of other things about the character, which I can't say, it wasn't so hard to feel like, oh, uncomfortable by him, because he's on the surface, like I say, he's just an arsehole. He's not necessarily someone who's abusive or dark. He's just a grunt. Like he's a grunt, and you know there wasn't really much time to go deeper with that, other than when we see his true intentions. But whether we go deeper or just from a different angle, that's for you to watch and find out. But yeah, in short, it was nothing but fun. Yes, I'm always willing to challenge myself. I mean, also vocally, like I'm not much of a singer, but I have been singing in shows recently. I do amateur theatre outside of these film projects. I would like to challenge myself and do something else. I'm always keen to do different roles, especially because I seem to have an ability to do voices or accents. So changing my voice all the time comes naturally to any roles. So yeah, I would say absolutely. Maybe in the next film that we do for Pajak Productions, I might well do a different role. Yes, I would love to be a voice actor if I could. If I could afford to sign up to an agency. If I lived in a different house that had more space, I would love to invest the time and the energy to do that. For now, it's a dream, but maybe one day I'll go to some recording studio and send a voice reel or something. But I can always express myself through the films as well, through making my own films. So yes, I know I would like to work with voice actors as well. I did an animation film where I got loads of voice actors, which was fun, and I myself acted in that, which is on the channel. So do check that out.
And you've done some voice acting for me as well.
Yes, that's very true.
Which was really fun.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, this film has not been an easy one to make, much like 50 Slices. It's a feature, it's an ambitious one, but I have a confidence about it, given I've brought in some new people and more of a crack team than last time. last time we were figuring a lot of things out, and with the Bond trilogy, it was a learning process. And by the time we got to the third, it was the best of that story that we could ever have made. But it wasn't without its improvements. And I feel like with this film, we have shown genuine improvement in a lot of areas, and bringing in some new talent as well is going to be very refreshing. So it does feel like there's an element of things that are the same, but element that are different. I think when it releases, my genuine hope is that we have created what, in my vision, I believe to be a powerful drama. I don't see this film as a typical heist film. I see it as a drama with a heist. And I've always said that. I've always thought that the heist is just part of the plot. It's a narrative device that is, it's a goal for the characters to get through the heist, get what they want, and then hopefully be happier. But I always wanted to approach it with this aspect of humanity. I thought, well, if I'm going to make a heist film, these characters have got to feel like people. There's no black and white in this situation. I like to write characters who are human, not so much good or evil. And I think that's the best way to write characters, because you get this well-rounded, you know, how can I put it? This well-rounded view of each of them, but yet, you know, it leaves the audience with more thoughts and more questions. So, like, you know, all of these 5 characters, do any of them deserve the money? Does one of them deserve it more than the other? That's the question I want people to go away with, and I hope that the film provokes that response. But as well as the thematic elements of that, and the faith and family thing being a strong pull for the audience, I really want them to enjoy it and have fun, because it is a heist film, and there should be fun, and there should be action, there should be comedy. But at the same time, I want them to go away thinking it's an experience. And because it's a low-budget film, hopefully they'll be impressed by the way it's put together and the technical aspects. Because I do believe, on a technical level, it is better than 50 Slices of Bonding. And I think it will be, if we finish the last quarter of filming in the right way. There's no doubt it's been hard to make. It's organized. It's an organizational nightmare. But what I'm saying is really giving me the confidence that this will be emotionally powerful. And that was where I wanted to deviate from 50 Slices. Not that the Bond films didn't have heart, especially the third one, but I wanted this to feel more driven by its pathos than the whole kind of heist action comedy stuff. There is comedy here, and some of the scenes in here you might think, oh yeah, this is definitely written by the same guy that wrote Bond. But we always wanted to make something different, and I want to give other people the chance to show their skills as well. And I feel like when, like, some of these new cast members, you know, and like Matt and Sadie and Emma, you know, and John, these people haven't worked with me before, to show off their talent as well, to go on to other projects that are hopefully going to be as good as this, if not better. So it's, as well as it being a personal thing for me of what I want this to be, I want it to be a platform for other people to go and do more things. So whoever's worked on this, including you, take the credits and use them, please, because I feel like that's the biggest reward that anyone can get out of this. Yes, I am looking forward to that. 10 years, it has been quite a long decade, and a slow one in some regards. But I'm very proud of where we are. You know, never thought in a million years we'd ever make a feature film like 50 Slices, for it to be as good as it was. And for Financial Temptation to come out in that year would be hopefully the icing on the cake, to sort of see, we started with family bonding, here we are with Financial Temptation, look at the difference and where we've come from. So I hope that is the case. I mean, of course, if Financial Temptation has to be delayed, it will be delayed, but it will be delayed for good reason. I'm hoping that it will come out this year. It's currently scheduled for May, looking like it might not come out in May, but hang in there, it will be worth it. But as for the first 2 Bond films, there is a potential for them to maybe be remastered, so stay tuned.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for this interview.